furnace, right?
And what? In the furnace?
Gnat's nest up in the furnace of that damn big trailer. When it got starting to cool, goddamn, it's night, you got the furnace goes off, and everything else goes down.
What's the fastest 18-wheeler you ever had there, Cleve?
Well, it was a Freightliner with a 4 and a 5 with a 12, a B12 in it. And I toted a 190,000 pound payload. And I put no drive, but it did 120 mile an hour, headed from Abilene to Houston. And I held it all the way to Dallas and Fort Worth. And I let somebody else take the truck, and I swapped trucks because we had one break down, and I stayed and fixed it that night. But honestly, God, I was sitting on a dead 120 mile an hour when I put that bitch up in overdrive, and I held it all the way from us out of Abilene all the way into Fort Worth. And I never let off. I had this bitch rolling. And the second other fastest truck I had was a 350 Cummins with a Freightliner cowboy. Would run out at 105, and it got me 19 tickets in 9 months, and wasn't none of them under a $100 bill. And it ain't go pay the tickets, go to jail is what it is, The judge frowns real bad on you trucking 100 mile an hour loaded in 18-wheeler headed down the interstate. And
3 times over the limit.
Slightly. And the highway patrolman, first thing he asked is, "Where you going to, a damn fire?" And he said, "Hell no, I'm trying to run from it, And he said, "You loaded, you empty?" And I said, "I'm empty." And he said, "You're on your way to jail. Follow me." And they leave your truck sitting on the square in town down there in Texas, and they carry you in there and put your ass in jail until they take you from a judge. The last time that happened, I was in Jackson, Georgia, doing 105 mile an hour in the fog, and was spotlighted as deputy sheriff. It cost me $520. He took my spotlights, and under ICC regulations, he had to send them back. And they did. Send me in on Continental 12-way bus next day by 10 o'clock. But they locked my ass up. To a friend of mine, we got $510 to get out of jail. And I called the troop commander, I called the governor, and told them all of them his mama stuck sticks and wears combat boots and horse for a living. And I was severely pissed off everybody in Louisiana that night. And they sat on the Louisiana line and waited for me to come back across the way. And I went to Mobile, Alabama, went all the way back up to Arkansas, and went all the way around Louisiana before I went back there and went home.
Hell yeah.
And I got back to Nacogdoches, and my boss said, "Well, turn around, take a bath, and go back, because you headed back to Mobile." And I said, "The hell I am." I said, "I ain't going back down there no more, because everybody in Louisiana's pissed off." And I had, for a year or so, they were looking for a green and white Freightliner, had Texas plates on it, had 3 B's trucking on it. And they told me later, said, "You the son of a bitch that banged the governor mad. If he'd have caught you, he'd have killed you. He wouldn't even locked you up." But man, he got mad. But I did get a hold of the lieutenant governor, and I pissed him off royally too. But I did get my life back. I didn't get my money, but I hate Louisiana because they got their own laws like Arizona's got theirs, and Arizona's got some of the linest cheating, thieving son of a bitch I've ever seen in my life. In Texas, they done killed them,
Yep.
And Kentucky too.
Yes, sir.
People wouldn't put up with shit like that.
Nope.
Out there.
Hell no.
How these people, man, these are one of the weirdest motherfuckers. If you ask them something and they start denying it right there in front of you, and you don't even know what it is. And you say, like my nephew asked him, I said, "Have you seen my mag light?" He said, "No, I ain't seen that old motherfucker." And you knew he had it because he knew which one was missing.
Yeah.
And he stole my birth certificate, and he was going to go down to Mexico and tell them, he was mean, and skip out on all the damn shit he was in, because he sold 11 grams to a police officer, and he's still in the pen now. But I'll tell you this, man, I was living in Dallas, and I had my own company called C&D Fence Company. And I had a friend of mine named Leopoldo Martinez who worked for me from Port de Sea, San Luis in Mexico. And he told me I'd been in business about a month, and he said, "Clevis, man," he said, "I need to be off a couple of days." And I asked him, "What?" And I kept on begging him for the rest of the week. And I said, "Man, what are you going to Mexico for?" And he finally told me he was going down there to pick up 3 people and bring them to Dallas. And I told him, I said, "Man, all my life I've heard about smuggling people and this and that, down there. And I always thought it was a bunch of bullshit, and what they paid. But anyhow, I told him I always want to do something like that myself." And he said, "Clevis, the gringo ain't got the balls for it. And the federales and the damn border patrol don't believe a white man's got the balls for it." And I told him I had more balls than anybody I knew, and I could do it. So we took off that weekend, and we went down to Matamoros, Mexico. And when we got down there, we found out we could haul 9 people in the bed of a pickup truck with no camper on it. So I told them we'll do it. So anyhow, next thing I knew, I took across the border, and they done got in my pickup truck, and I carried them to the river. And I took off to go to the other side, and all these guys get inner tubes to swim the river. And I met them on the other side when they got out of the water and picked them up, and I carried them to Harlingen, put them in a safe house. And from there, I picked them back up and took them up to the checkpoint on Highway 77 outside of Corpus Christi and let them out. And they started walking, and I went back to Harlingen, and I fueled my truck up. And I come back to the checkpoint, and I picked them up by the other side of the rest area on 77. And I carried them all the way to Houston. And I left them there at Brookshire and Houston and other places they went to. And I had half the money before I got there, and I had the rest of it when they got out of my truck. And it was a hell of a deal to get $850 a piece in 1985 for one person. And I had 12 people that night. And next time I went down there, I had 13. And the time after that, I had 18. And 18 people in the van is kind of crowded. But here you got 18 people behind you, and you make 19, and your crosser makes 20, and your running buddy makes 21. I had 21 people in one Chevrolet van, okay? And I had air shocks, I had new tires, I had a good motor transmission. And I went to smuggling people down there for 9 months in that year, in 1985. And eventually, I had 2 trucks running, and I hauled 36 people every 2 weeks. I never got caught. I never got busted. I never had no intent. Anybody knowing what I did, but I would go down there, and it'd be open and shut case, and it'd be on the other side. And you'd go to the bus station, pick them up, cross them across the border with a Mexican crosser, swim the river with them, and then you go pick them up, and you carry them to the safe house and put them in it. And from there, you go back and pick them up and carry them up to the checkpoint, and throw them out and let them walk around it, and then you go back and pick them up. And one night, my buddy told me the checkpoint was going to be down that night, and we was going to wait till it closed, and we was going to go through it. But what they don't tell you is there's 10 times the cops on the highway if they close it than there is when it's open. And I'd rather run the border if I was going to do something like that now. Well, they open it at night where you had to go through it, instead of having a portable checkpoint thrown out on you, or having 10 times the police on the road. And you always knew when one of them was coming at you because you'd see them way back behind you instead of headlights, barely could see them. And the next thing you know, they were sitting right beside you. And they'd run while they're open down on that border, chasing people. And they'd run up beside you and look at you and see, who you was, whatever, and see if you had bulging tires and if your car was sitting down low in the back. And if they did, they'd stop you. So I put air shocks on mine, so I had it raised way up in the back. I had 100 pounds of air in my tires, and I could put 18 people in it, plus me and my buddy and his brother. And there'd be 21 people in my van, and the back end was standing about 6 inches higher than the front end. And they'd pull up beside you, and you'd at night or whatever, and you take and put a white man beaters t-shirt on, they call them. Roll the window down, stick your arm out on the shoulder door, and wave at them when they pull up beside you so they see you white, because they didn't think you had the balls to do it. And after a while, they already found out who I was and what I did, except by the time they found out I was done it, I'd already back home, And I had the federales in Mexico chasing me. And one night, to get a hold of me, they chased me for 5 months, me and my friend. So we separated so they couldn't put us together the other way. And he went one way when we got there, and I went another way. And then when we got time to move, we went and got my van, we went and picked them up, and we hauled ass. But the federale in Mexico told me, by the time I found out you're here and your friend, I found out when I bring everybody into the office and put them on the street hunting y'all, because y'all here. And I found out you left 2 hours before you found out you was here. And y'all about the 2 slickest son of a bitches I've ever even heard of, or even seen you. And I ain't seen you because I couldn't get you. But you got no choice now. You're either going to come see me or send me $1,000, because I got 18-year-old people in jail in your crosser. And ain't nobody going to know where y'all either come turn yourselves in or send me the money. So I went down to Western Union. I sent this man $1,000 to let these people out. He called me back about 15 minutes later, and he said, I got your money and your people's on the street. I said, well, thank you, sir. And then he offered me a deal to come down there, and he would furnish the people in and pay me. If they didn't pay me, he would fix them real good, well, they couldn't pay nobody else. So therefore, it was a trusting deal, but I done got so hot that the Border Patrol called me by name, and ICE knew me by name, and the Texas Ranger knew me by name down there. So it was time to quit before I got sent to penitentiary. So, but anyhow, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but it was exciting as hell. But you talking about adrenaline rush, all you do is get in it, And you say, well, I did this, I did that. You got one adrenaline rush. But when you haul Spanish people, every time you see a car coming at you, it's a police car, it don't matter who it is, your heart goes brrrr, and it goes beats like a boom, boom, boom. Scares the shit out of you. And you look back and you see one on the side of the road and one up ahead on the right side of the road. Same thing. I mean, you had a rush after rush after rush, and they had the best damn methamphetamines down there you could get your hands on. And if you had any connections, you never bought nothing on the border, because I could get it I could get it cheaper in Dallas and Fort Worth than I could get it anywhere else, and I could get more of it. And when you can buy $3,000 worth of it for $100 bill, because you're their friend, but the thing is, you don't screw up. And down in Mexico, whoever's got all the gold makes all the rules. And I mean, you got free reign, and there's two people in Mexico that gets free reign, and that's the drug dealers and the coyotes, okay? And after that, hell gets cut loose. But I just be careful. But I would suggest doing it now, because they got the Army, the Navy, the Marines, they got the Highway Patrol, and they got ICE, and then they got immigration, and then they got the Border Patrol. And there's so many people on that border now with cards, it's almost impossible to get out. And the only way you actually get through the border now is that you pay one of the people down there that's already set up and working as a Border Patrol or ICE or whoever, and you pay them. That's the only way you get out of there, because you ain't no way you're going to get out of there without paying somebody. And usually cost you $3,000 to pay the Border Patrol in Mexico and them on our side to let you get there. And I've had calls to go and pick up people, but they got caught twice trying to get home. And they called me and want me to come get them. And I've never been hit. And there's a lot of people I took to Dallas. You imagine 18 people for 9 months, every 2 weeks. So I'd tell you how many people I hauled. And people would still meet me in places in different towns and different states. And they ask me, hey, Gringo, you remember me? And I said, well, not really. And I said, man, I remember that gold van. And I said, well, okay. And down in Mexico, I have met people who have come all the way to my house in Templeton, Texas, and want to talk to me because they said they heard of a legend of an old man with long gray hair. It was so damn good down on the border, he never got hit. He got through everybody he picked up and got fresh clothes, got food, and was took care of just like they were my brothers. And actually they were, in the way I looked at it, because it's, you know, and I did it actually start for the money, which I didn't need the money, but now I do it for free, okay? Because they have a respect among each other. And you have one of them come over here and they move in the house with another brother of his or a friend, and they all get together and buy each other a brand new truck. And after everybody gets a good truck and gets a good job, then they start buying each other a brand new house, a good one. And then everybody in the house, in the stand there, gets a new truck, gets a house to live in, and his wife comes over here with his kids. And he sends just about every dime of his money when he's starving to death to his aunt, uncle, brother, daddy, sister. And he helps support everybody in Mexico because they're starving to death down there. And it's a privilege to get people, to help people. And the whites used to do it, the blacks, and everybody else used to help one another, including their family. And now it's, fuck you, brother. They don't give a damn who they help. They're out for themselves. The greed has took over, and the devil is riding with everybody, including y'all. And I'm telling you now, the best thing you can do is get God in your heart and give to the lesser than you things that they need. And by the good deed you do is by the reward you gain. But yet, if you judge not lest you be judged, because when they judge you, it's usually another judge, and he could be federal, and you're really fucked in. So, that's all I can tell you about that.